Shoulda. I don't know, shoulda. The rotors probably cost more than the car, I don't know. What the heck, somebody might want to know how to do this from 1999. You know, the year with no social media, no Facebook, no nothing. Well, we had America Online then, if you consider that social media. Let's put these on. It might actually stop better and quit shaking. Let's try this. Alright, so before we get into the video too far, whatever you do when you're jacking your vehicle, make sure you have a secondary safety jack, a stand or something. And also, if you have a low profile car, a lot of times you can't get these jacks up under there. Of course, I have an antique jack. Even some of the low profiles, if you're out in your yard, it might still be a little difficult. But get you a piece of wood like this and drive up over it. And do the same thing on the other side. And this will bring it up a couple of inches. And this really brings it up far enough to get a jack up under there, so you don't have to scrape and bust your knuckles trying to get a jack up under there and trying to figure out where to put it up under the A-frame. And the other tip is, if you're driving the vehicle, let it sit for at least an hour to let the rotor cool down, the brake calipers and all that, because this stuff in the summertime takes quite some bit of time to cool down. Trust me, I know. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and open up our new rotors, and these wheels are 17-inch. Yeah, back in the late 90s, 17s, 16s were becoming a pretty big fad back then, so you gotta be careful when you order a lot of these rotors. You gotta make sure you get the correct wheel size. Even though it looks the same inches, it could be off quite a bit. Of course, I'm not going to be able to do this with one hand probably. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Alright, just like the picture. Got these on eBay, both of them free shipping for $39. It's almost impossible to get these rotors turned anymore. They're just as cheap to buy them. And a lot of machine shops in my area are non-existent anymore. So there you go. So what we got to do here is see. Sometimes on some of these vehicles they have a screw here and a nut to hold this on, but this one we don't. We do have some holes here in case this is wedged on here. You can put a bolt in here and tighten these bolts down and pop this rotor off this way. So hopefully this should be pretty easy to get off. And we got a couple nuts back here to take off and pull this off and start putting this back on. So big old 17-inch rotors. So like I said, this thing's shaking a little bit when you hit the brake. Hopefully this will make it nice and smooth again. So let's go ahead and get these on. Alright, so right off the bat, and by the way, I know a lot of you may be buying your first car. A lot of these cars in the late 90s and early 2000s are really cheap. I think I paid $400 or $500 for this. Been driving it for about a year. It's been a fun little car. So sometimes this is how you start out. And by doing your own maintenance, it's amazing the money you will save. So these are 17. Alright, so a little hard to get out, so we got this one here to take out. Let's go ahead and see if we can break this one loose on the top. Oh, there we go. All right, it wasn't too bad. It's, you know, it's a little warm still. I didn't wait an hour. I waited a half hour for this to cool down. And these bolts are really large. Some of the Ford Explorers and the Mountaineers and the Trailblazers, the bolts and the calipers are half this size. It's amazing how big Chrysler made these things. Look at this. How large this is. And also, when you go to put this pin back in, lube it up with a little bit of grease just to help out. Doesn't matter what kind of grease, just something is better than nothing. So there's that one. And get this one out. Then we'll just kind of slide, see if we can just slide these off. A lot of times it's good to take a screwdriver and try to separate the caliper and the piston a little bit from the rotor. Now, I don't know which side's shaking, but most of the time, if you're going to replace them, you might as well just replace one. You might as well just replace them both. Okay, see how big this. See how large these things are? Wow. Chrysler wasn't messing around. Of course, the speedometer on this thing's geared for 160 miles an hour, so this is a little speed demon, believe it or not. All right, let's see if this will just come right out with one hand and my camera in the other. I don't know. A little hot still. It's about 95 degrees out here today too. So just take your time. All right, when you grab it, gently lift it back out of the way. Sometimes you have to get a little wire or bungee cord to hold this caliper up a little bit just so it doesn't fall down. And that should be just fine there. And there is our brake pads. Let's check these out. See what we got. Alright, they're fairly in good shape. I'm not going to worry about those. And what we'll have to do next here, let's see the back one. Yep, pretty good shape. And now we got to take this one here out, this bracket. Now this bracket, a lot of times, you have to use a 1/2 inch drive on it to get it out, or a 1/2 inch ratchet. Here, let me go get my 1/2 inch, because I know if I try to use this one here, this 1/4 inch, I will break it. Alright, for this big bolt here, we're going to use a breaker bar, and I'm using a 12 point, but you really should use a 6. Alright, let's see if I can do this like this. Oh, alright, hey, not too bad. Alright, that one's loosened. We gotta get this one here. If I can get this one, then we got it made. Oh, boy, I'm gonna stand up on this one. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this off here. I said that was 11. Well, that's the same socket I was using. So it turns out those bolts, caliper bolts and the bracket bolts, are the same size. So I'm not sure what they were doing when they made this car. This Chrysler 24 valve LXI Sebring 2.5. I don't know if they were trying to make a race car, sort of, kind of like. But it's a fast car. It's just not very quiet on the highway. The road noise is kind of annoying, but I have put a lot of insulation panels on the inside and the doors and stuff, and it has cut down on the noise quite a bit, so kind of getting used to the car. It'll make somebody a nice little car for maybe $1,800 to $2,000 with nothing wrong with it, with ice cold air. So, and new front rotors now. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oop, that was my bad. Our clips look good. I don't see nothing wrong here. So put that off the side, and now let's see. This comes right off, should come right off, it's hot. And there's where it was shaking. See right there? This is where my shaking was when I'd hit the brake. So, and that's nothing I can get off either. So, yay! So that was pretty easy to do. Bearings look good. Everything here looks good. And let's see. I don't see nothing else wrong. And this has ABS, I do believe. I could be wrong. Where's the ABS wire? Well, no, this does not have ABS up on the wheels. It must have it in the differential. Anyway, all right, so that was pretty easy to do. So let's go ahead and stick this on. Maybe I can just do this with one hand. Since you're laying in bed at night watching, wondering how to do this, or you're just kind of curious, or you just stumbled across my channel accidentally, try not to get my dirty hands all over the rotor. I got some brake clean in there for this. Alright, let's stick that on there, and yay! How about that? So that wasn't too bad. So all we gotta do is put everything back together in the opposite order. Make sure everything's nice and tight, and we're going to have a couple nice rotors on the front of this to give it some smooth stopping power. Now when I hit the brake, the pedal didn't pulsate. It's just, you can feel the car, the steering will shake a little bit like this, and you can feel the whole car vibrating. Then you get down to 30 miles an hour, it would go away. So it was between like 40 and 55, so just so you know. Alright, so these went in real easy, you know, and I didn't bother cleaning up too much here because being a Northeast vehicle, that little bit of oil and crud on there, believe it or not, will protect it from the salt this winter. But if you want to clean it up, go ahead and knock yourself out. Alright. You know, there's really no content in this video, but somebody may be curious. And I know there's a few other videos online on how to do this Chrysler Sebring 99. I don't know if there's 17-inch wheels back then with some of the other models or not. I think they had 15s, 16s, and 17s. Alright, so that's that. I'm going to go ahead and just torque this down. I got a good feel. If you really want to know what the specs are, go online and look them up, but trust me, I know the feel of these bolts. All right, that's good. They probably torque down to about 120 foot-pounds, I'd say. There we go. All right, so that's on. Nice and straight. Now all we gotta do is stick our rotor back on. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze that caliper down just a little bit before I put those pads in there to make it a little bit easier. All right, now to save a little headache here, we're just gonna push this piston back just a little bit. We don't need to push it all the way back in because it's gonna come back out to where it is now. The whole idea is just to give it enough slack to put those pads back in here and to slide this on fairly easy. So you can use something like this, or you can go get something real professional and spend $30 on it, but we'll just kind of push it in there like that. Now you don't want to push this in all the way too far. The reason is because where you put your brake fluid in, some of this fluid is going to back up to the line and it's going to spill out and it's going to start leaking down. So if you see fluid leaking up under there, that is why. Check your brake reservoir. You might want to take the cap off if you want to go ahead and push this all the way back, because some of that fluid could leak out. So I think right about there is good. All right, so let's go ahead and slip this on. So we're going to go ahead and stick our pads back in here now. If you take these off, you kind of get confused which way they go. You can see this one here has this really long squealer. This one doesn't have it. Well, there's this circle right here. Obviously this here goes probably right here. And we'll flip this around on this side here. Put that on there like that. All right, so those went in there nice and easy. Now let's test my theory out. Let's grab this with one hand, flip it around, and see how easy these go on here. Like this, look at that. How nice that went on there. No banging around, no cursing or anything. And now we're ready to set our bolts in there. All right, so that pin is in, and this one here. Lubed it up with a little bit of grease, and make sure you know your boot's in good shape down here. That's the key, because moisture will get in here and rust these up in the northeast, and it'll lock it up faster than well, you'll want to get out and change it, that's for sure. All right, so there, that's going in. All we gotta do is tighten that down, and this side will be done. So in order to take this to a brake shop to replace these two front rotors and put new pads on, it would be about $250. I'm doing all this for $40 and a little bit of elbow grease. Now granted, I'm not replacing the pad, but the pad you can get yourself for 20 bucks. For 60 bucks, you can do this job yourself and save $100 to maybe $180. So, you know, it's all up to you. If you love saving money, this is the way to go. And I love saving money. Hey, let me know where you're watching from right now. All right, I'll use my breaker bar on these. And these only torque down to 65 foot-pounds, so that's pretty much 65. And there we go. So how about that? All right, let's go ahead and hit the other side and wrap this video up. All right, let's go do the other side. And boom, she's done. How about that? All done. So we got to put the wheel on and take it down the road. Now, before you take off in it, make sure you get inside. Put your foot on the brake. Pump those brakes a little bit before you go to take off, because if you don't, you just get in your vehicle and take off, the pedal could actually sink to the floor before it pumps back up, just so you know. But looks good, saved a lot of money and time, and with those two, if you can do, I think you're gonna be pretty happy. And just like that, it's all done. So I don't know, it's not a bad car. Would you drive something around like this from the 90s? Do a quick look at it. Have about $800 into it. It's got a lot of new stuff in it. But speaking of new stuff, since we got that on there, let's see if the thing rides any different and see if it feels like new again. Well, almost. Let's hit the highway and see how those brakes feel now. All right, everyone. Boy, you know, it's amazing what $40 can do to your vehicle. This thing stops on a dime. No more shaking when I hit the brake now. And we're doing about, I don't know, 45 or so, and we're coming up to an intersection up here, and we'll just kind of hit the brake kind of hard here and pull over. I'll let go of the steering wheel and I'll show you how nice it stops now. All right. Oh yes, no more shaking. I love it. So that took care of the problem. So, you know, sometimes you just got to do these things yourself, and besides, if you could do them yourself, you could save yourself a lot of time, have it done in a few hours, and go on your merry way. So yeah, I'm really happy it took care of the issue. So there we go. Alright guys, so that's about it for the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, hey, give it a thumbs down. You just never know who might need a little information and help. So thanks for watching guys. Until my next video, I'll see you later.